Keys to victory for Tyson Fury against Alexander Usyk. Number 1. Be aggressive. Usyk throws a lot more punches than most heavyweights, including Fury, and he's accurate too. So if he's out throwing Fury, he'll probably be outlanding him and therefore winning rounds. Also, the more punches Usyk throws, the greater the chances are that Fury gets hurt or his cut reopens. Fury's never going to be able to match Usyk's typical punch output, so what he needs to do instead is bring Usyk's work rate down. And there are two ways he could try and do that. The first way is to stay on the back foot, use his height and reach and lots of feints, and try to walk Usyk on to big power shots as he comes in. The idea is, if he can hurt him with something, then he'll make him hesitant to come forward and throw punches. At which point, Fury, being the taller man with longer arms, would be able to relax behind his jab, slow the pace down, and control the fight from long range. But the problem with this approach is that it wasn't effective at discouraging the last southpaw Fury faced from coming forward and throwing punches. For the first 3 rounds of the Otto Wallin fight, Tyson Fury was on the back foot trying to walk Wallin onto shots. But Fury actually missed quite a bit, and the shots that did land didn't intimidate Wallin at all. He just kept pushing forward and wound up landing a left hand, which cut Fury's eye. Wallin and Usyk are both southpaws, and they've got the exact same reach, 78 inches. But let's be real, Wallin is a poor man's Usyk at best. Usyk is many levels above him in every single department. So if Fury's getting caught this clean this early by Otto Wallin, what are the chances that Usyk won't catch him? And remember, the Wallin fight was 5 years ago when Fury was much younger, fresher, and lighter than he is now. The key to Fury beating Usyk is in what he did in the Wallin fight after he got cut. He completely changed tactics, became very aggressive, started pushing Wallin back, working his body on the inside, and so on. The same tactics will be required to slow down Alexander Usyk, in my view. You see, boxing on the back foot plays into Usyk's hands because he actually prefers to come forward. That's where he's most comfortable. There's this common misconception that Usyk prefers to run around the ring, and that's simply not the case at all. Now, he can do it if it's called for, and he does it very well, but he much prefers to come forward. And one of the things that happens when you allow Usyk to come forward is that his constant head movement and foot movement, where he's stepping off to the side, changing angles and punching off the angles, it starts to wear you down mentally because it takes a tremendous amount of concentration to keep up with all the moving parts. He keeps you in a constant state of tension, trying to keep track of what he's doing and anticipate everything. He makes you overthink, which saps your energy, and that is the Usyk trap. That's what he wants to lure you into. That's his game. He wants you to overthink. And so Fury's best bet is to simplify the fight, make it less complicated. And you do that by pushing Usyk back. Don't allow him to set up shop. Keep him on his heels. Keep him under pressure. Dictate the pace. Don't let him dictate it, you dictate it. Make him anxious. Now, obviously, you still have to be mindful of your footwork, cutting the ring off properly and being careful not to get caught too much coming in. But basically what you've done at this point, as I said a few moments ago, is you've simplified the fight. It's still a struggle, don't get me wrong, but it's a less complicated struggle. You're not getting caught up in overthinking. The objective is now simple. Keep Usyk going backwards and hit him wherever you can hit him. It doesn't matter if it's on the shoulders, the arms, the chest, the body, or the head. Just make sure that he feels under constant threat. Because as long as he feels under threat, then he's concentrating more on defense than on offense, which brings his punch output down. And that's what you want. A lot of people believe that Alexander Usyk can't hurt Tyson Fury, but I couldn't disagree more. Fury was dropped heavily by Nevin Pikage and Steve Cunningham, both small guys who aren't known for power. And this was over a decade ago when Fury was a much fresher fighter than he is now. His chin isn't going to be better now than it was back then. Fury's been down a total of 7 times in his career, and one of those knockdowns was in his last fight. Yes, he has shown great powers of recovery, but you can't afford to be giving away 10-8 rounds in a close fight. Usyk is fast, he's clever, he's accurate, and he throws in combination. If he catches Fury with several clean shots in quick succession, I've got no doubt he can hurt him. And this is another reason why it's important to push Usyk back. I can't ever recall Usyk dropping or even hurting anyone on the back foot. The power he has is generated on the front foot, coming forward. So if you push him back, you take most of that power away and you turn it into a basic game of cat and mouse. Now, obviously, Fury's going to need to be in good shape to fight this way, and he'll need to keep his defense nice and tight, because if not, then it's no longer a game of cat and mouse anymore, it's Matador versus Bull, and it very rarely ends well for the Bull. Number 2, use your jab. Now, Fury tends to jab a lot anyway, so you'd think this wouldn't even need saying, but in most of the fights where Fury's been very aggressive, he threw a lot less jabs than normal, an example being the Steve Cunningham fight. He just put his hands up and walked straight in, throwing power shots. Now, Derek Chisora had success against Usyk doing exactly that early on in their fight, but the thing is, Chisora's only 6'1", so he was able to tuck his chin down and roll underneath Usyk's punches. Fury's far too big for that. He can't get that low. So in order to avoid being caught coming in, he'll need to use his jab. And it doesn't even need to land on Usyk's head. Fury's so big that a solid jab to Usyk's chest could rock him back on his heels. And that's what you want. You're trying to push him off balance. It then takes him a couple of seconds to rebalance himself before he's ready to punch again. And it's in that little window that you follow through with your power shots. And because Fury has much longer arms than Derek Chisora, or Usyk himself for that matter, he can throw those power shots from much further out. But as I say, the key is to push him off balance with the jab first. That way he'll be easier to hit and you'll avoid being countered. Number 3, target the body. Usyk is the faster, more mobile fighter. He uses his legs a lot. So Fury needs to hit his body to take those legs away and make him more stationary and therefore easier to hit. Now this applies whether Fury's boxing on the outside or on the inside. He doesn't need to wait until he's got Usyk pinned in a corner before he targets the body. He can do it at long range with his jab or a straight right hand. And if Usyk comes at him, he can also try and time him with an uppercut to the body. And that's actually Fury's favorite counter, the right uppercut. He walks people onto it. Now, I don't think he should rely on it and make that his entire game plan against Usyk to just sit back and wait to land a right uppercut counter, because it took him 7 rounds to land that shot against Dillian Whyte, who's got 2 left feet and who's very slow and stationary. If it took him that long to land it against Whyte, how long is it going to take him to land it against Usyk? I think Fury will need to be a lot more proactive than he was against Dillian Whyte. But in the course of being proactive, if the opportunity presents itself to hit Usyk with an uppercut counter, to the body or to the head, then of course he should take it. Number 4, don't lunge into clinches. Fury has this bad habit of trying to lunge into clinches from too far out. He did it quite a bit in the Ngannou fight. If an opponent is quick enough, they'll be able to step back or roll underneath Fury's outstretched arms and catch him with a shot when he does that. Alexander Usyk is quick and agile enough to pull that off when he's fresh. So Fury can't afford to be making that mistake here. Number 5, sell your feints. Now, Fury normally feints a lot, although not as much as he used to apparently. But there are basically 2 types of feints: offensive feints and defensive feints. An offensive feint is designed to trigger your opponent into throwing a punch or moving his body in such a way that he leaves himself open for you to hit him. Whereas a defensive feint is designed to keep your opponent on edge to such an extent that he's afraid to throw any punches. In recent years, Tyson Fury's feints have become increasingly skewed towards the defensive variety. He's not as young and energetic as he used to be, so in order to slow the action down to a comfortable pace, he uses a lot of defensive feints. But the effectiveness of defensive feints is contingent on your opponent believing that you have the speed, the accuracy, the energy, and the power to hit them and hurt them if they decide to lead off. Because if they lead with a punch and your counter misses, or it lands and it doesn't hurt them, then the illusion is broken. Then they'll be encouraged to throw more punches, which in turn forces you to throw more punches and expend more energy than you want to. If Tyson Fury needs to rest in this fight, and he decides to stand off or stop backing up and using defensive feints, Usyk is going to know that he's bluffing. It's too obvious. And Usyk is fast and accurate enough, and defensively good enough, to lead off against Fury and avoid most of the counters. Therefore, if Fury's going to use defensive feints to grab a rest, he's going to need to disguise his intentions better. And that means throwing those defensive feints on the front foot. You need to sell those feints by taking an offensive posture, coming forward. And if he's already been fighting an aggressive fight up to that point, it makes the sell much easier. Number 6, showboat. This might sound silly to some, but it's actually not. Showboating can be used not only to frustrate and demoralize your opponent, but it can also be a very effective way of influencing the perception of the audience and the judges. In a close round, the guy with the more confident body language can often get the benefit of the doubt on the scorecards, even if he isn't landing any more than his opponent. Tyson Fury is actually very good at this, and he may well need to use that tactic in this fight. Number 7, switch hit. This is another thing that Tyson Fury can use to try and lower Usyk's punch output. Switch hitting can confuse an opponent and temporarily discourage them from throwing punches while they adjust to the new angles. It also opens up new offensive opportunities for the guy doing the switching. If Fury's struggling to land his left jab because it's clashing with Usyk's right jab, switching to southpaw himself negates that issue. Same goes for a variety of other punches. Now, with that being said, you don't want to switch too often because then it becomes predictable and your opponent can catch you transitioning between the two stances. So don't overdo it. But there you have it. Those are my keys to victory for Tyson Fury. You can watch my keys to victory for Alexander Usyk by clicking the link on screen at the end of this video. And also don't forget to subscribe for more boxing news, reviews, and analysis.